Hey guys, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video. You join me today bright and early out in the A45S because it's time for more power. This is the last drive in its current stage, which is stage 1, running around 460 horsepower. And of course, I'm on my way this morning to EST Performance for, as I said, stage 2. We should see some solid gains, and actually today we're going to be fitting the first of the hardware to the car. Stage 1 across most cars is literally just software, hence why you don't get huge gains, but stage 2 onwards is where things get a little bit spicy, and that is of course what we're doing today. So we have a couple of bits of hardware which I will show you when we get there. I will also catch up with the guys and basically talk through the process about basically taking this car from stage 1 to stage 2. Of course, we'll be documenting the whole process in today's video. Very much so looking forward to this, and there have been some hints actually that this was coming. I'm sure you guys knew anyway, let's be honest. But yeah, we're just a couple of minutes away from EST now. But yeah, last drive at stage 1, and it's still crazy fast. Such a good point and shoot car, this, it really is. But yeah, it's time for stage 2, and I am very, very excited. Here we are then, back at EST Performance, the second home for my A45, looking lovely and clean at the moment. I'm loving the mountain grey against the satin black wheels and yellow calipers, looking good as ever. But I've got to say, whenever I do a long journey in this car, I mean it's about 2 hours for me, these seats really are not the comfiest at all, I've got to say. Genuinely, the Tillet seats in my Golf R are far comfier where they're just molded to you. These are just very firm and just, yeah, not nice on a long journey. But despite that, we're gonna make a beeline to the back where we have the hardware which is going on the car today. So in here, we have the typical stage 2 hardware going on the car. The Eventuri Carbon intake, the V-Box actually for the first drive, so that is coming soon, and also the downpipe. So starting off with the downpipe, this is the Cobra Sport and EST collaborative sports cat. It's a 200 cell sports cat, 4.5 inch, which obviously replaces the standard factory downpipe. You see Cobra Sport and EST, lovely bit of kit. And actually, this is actually going to be top mounted in the engine as they are in the 45Ss. So we are going to be able to see it. You can see inside it there, 200 cell cat in this sports cat, which, having spoken to the guys at EST, that is the go-to and the best option for these, just to make sure the sound isn't too tinny or anything like that, being a 2 litre. Now what's quite interesting with these, as I mentioned, they are top mounted with the downpipe, so you can see the turbo, you can see the downpipe pretty easily. However, it's actually a big job to get this out. I'm unsure exactly how they're going to do it, but I've been told that it is quite a labour-intense process. The downpipe is also built into the OPF, so it's a huge kind of setup which you've got in there. And of course, when you are removing an OPF, you do obviously need to do relevant coding to make sure there's no engine lights or anything like that. That is something which is just the go-to for when you are removing an OPF. However, seeing as we're doing stage 2 today, that is kind of redundant really. We're going to be doing it anyway. Moving back to the parts pile then. Now the Eventuri intake, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with how intakes work, and especially the Eventuri ones. These are not only an absolute work of art, of course it's still in the box at the moment, we will get it out shortly. Not only are they an absolute work of art, but they are super efficient as well. Obviously, induction kits basically allowing a smoother, less restricted flow for the air to reach the turbo, meaning the turbo can make more efficient boost and also some nice gains as well. And so therefore these two combined with the custom stage 2 from EST will basically result in some nice gains, but these two just on their own do play their part as well. Not only does it result in some more power, but also some noise benefits as well, of course, with the downpipe and also the Eventuri as well. Now a very important factor which basically makes induction kits work and become efficient is how they manage the temperature. So not only is the Eventuri especially efficient in making sure the airflow reaches the turbo in a very efficient way, but it also manages the heat, because the last thing you want is any hot air being sucked into the induction kit and then into the turbo. Not very efficient, resulting in a lesser power gain, or in some cases maybe even a power loss. So managing intake temperatures is a huge part of what Eventuri do, making sure it's all efficient and works nicely. Of course, made in the UK, same with the Cobra Sports Cat as well. So yeah, great to have these two companies on board and having both fitted to the car. And I cannot wait to have the V-Box all fitted up as well for the first drive, which, as I mentioned, is coming very, very soon. For now though, now that we've run through basically what we're doing today, what we're fitting, and obviously all of the software and everything tuning to come later on, I think we should get the car in the workshop because, of course, before we do any tuning, anything like that, we need to get these items fitted. We also need to show you the Eventuri, so we'll get that unboxed as well, and probably catch up with Yusuf and the guys as well. So we'll get in the workshop, get cracking, and get this thing to stage 2. Okay, Eventuri is all out of the packaging, looking absolutely incredible. Yeah, as we said, these things are an absolute work of art, so it's going to be very interesting to see what it looks like when that is all fitted in here. But of course, we are joined in usual fashion with Yusuf. We've just done a baseline actually from the stage 1 that we did probably a month or 2 ago.
Yeah,
probably.
You know the exact date. What did you say? 27th of December?
Actually, 27th of the 1st.
27th of January.
There you go.
When it was snowing.
Yeah, exactly. And pretty much, as you can see from the dyno graph here, it made pretty much exactly the same. So it's literally just a change in temperatures.
Thin lines are the run from back in January, and then obviously today is what thick lines are. So
perfect.
You're literally talking a couple of horsepower across the entire graph. The end points are pretty much the same. It's just mid-range are different. Start points are slightly different as well, and that's just down to rotational mass, things like that. Gearbox temps.
But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to get the Eventuri fitted first, then probably do another run, see the changes there, and then after letting the car cool down, then we're going to tackle the other hardware, which is getting the original downpipe out and then getting the Cobra one in, which actually is as I mentioned earlier on, is a collaborative.
It is, yeah. It's the first
between.
It's the first Cobra, first Cobra Sports Cap that's been made, and it's the first Cobra EST downpipe. So we helped with collaboration on that and did all the design. Because the problem was the only other downpipe that was on the market was, we'll leave them unnamed, but they weren't willing to change their design to factor in the additional exhaust gas temperature sensors. There's one there and there's one further down. So every time we fitted a sports cap or even a D cap, we'd have to completely rework the downpipe, cut, weld, fabricate lambda bosses in, and then make them fit. So you're talking like an extra 3 hours worth of work every time you fit the downpipe, and it's extra cost for the customer. So with Cobra, they've decided to make every single downpipe with the bosses, so you can just fit the bungs if you need them, because it only affects some cars.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it's not all of them that have it. It was some time through the production where they then, I don't know, maybe had some sort of heat issue with some of the cars in hot climates, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And then basically brought in that without even issuing a recall or anything, wasn't it? So,
exactly.
So yeah, super helpful, the fact that they've done that. But yeah, I think we'll get the Eventuri all fitted up, which is going to look mega, and then we'll get another run done and then go from there.
Sweet.
There we go. So the Eventuri is now fitted, minus the little shroud that goes over the ECU. We're going to get that fitted up in a second. But what we're going to do now is essentially, well, the car hasn't moved from the dyno from the baseline runs we did earlier. So we'll do some more runs and see basically what we get out of it. And then it'll be time to get the car in the main workshop for the downpipe install. But check this out, it looks absolutely stunning. Do get a nice little serial number on there as well, which is very cool. Yeah, right, time to do some more runs. It is very, very loud. We're going to do a couple of runs. However, just run one, you can see 467. So about 10 horsepower gain from that, which is pretty cool. Anyway, run 2. Okay, now that the fans are off, I can actually hear myself speak. The manifold, literally just a minute ago as well, was blowing. Kind of stopped now. but that is pretty cool. But yeah, we've done some runs. Naturally, I mean, to be honest, we did back-to-back runs, literally one after the other. So this was the best run out of the three, which was of course the first one. But yeah, some good gains, about 10 horsepower or so gained on that, which is pretty cool. And it's literally, well, it hasn't moved since we did the baselines. And then we put the Eventuri on. So yeah, proof is in the pudding. Not only do you get some nice vocal noise upgrades from it, but it also helps with the power aspect as well. So yeah, that is all cool. It's only loosely in place. We haven't put the ECU shroud on it purely because later on, in a minute actually, this actually needs to come back off to obviously get to the downpipe and everything like that. So the turbo has to be moved out of the way because it is, as I mentioned, a very involving job to get that out. So yeah, that's going next door for that. But first of all, it's got to cool down because it is red hot. So yeah, as I mentioned, that's all done. Eventuri is all obviously working as it should, which is great. But yeah, later on, it'll obviously be here on the dyno once the Cobra Sports Cat is all fitted, and then we'll obviously get on with the stage 2 tuning with Jamie to see what this thing makes. Hopefully, fingers crossed, something beginning with 5. Right, after a lot of stripping down, that is the original downpipe and OPF, actually, all built into one. But as you can see from the bay, a lot of stuff has been stripped out. Obviously, the Eventuri's come back out, charge pipes come out, the turbo's been relocated and kind of just nudged out of the way, just so there's actually enough room. But I mean, as you can see down there, it is a huge unit. I mean, compared to the Sports Cat going in, I mean, this is just absolutely huge. And to be honest, it's a bit of a squeeze to get it out. Obviously, a lot has been stripped out, but now the new one's going in, the 200 cell Sports Cat, 4.5 inch, to replace the OEM unit, shall we say, because it is a bit of a unit. But yeah, then it'll be time to get it all fitted all back up, and then it'll be time to get it back on the dyno later on for some tuning, see what it gets, and also to hear it as well, because obviously, as well as the performance upgrades, which we're going to be getting, we're also going to sound a little bit different as well. So yeah, new one in, get it all fitted up, and go from there. There we go, first startup. That sounds nice, actually. It's not too much, not too much. Of course, moving around to the front, of course, everything is now all fitted up. It's time to get this thing out onto the dyno. In fact, you can hear the turbo spooling away with the Eventuri. We still need to access the ECU. That's why the shield is not on that, but yeah, all fitted up, awesome stuff. It's time to get this over to the dyno and get tuning. Oh, it does sound good. I like it. It's not too much, it's not too obnoxious, not too loud. Over to the dyno it goes. Okay, getting straight into this. Fans are on, car is about to go out for its first run. And what we're going to do before we do any tuning is basically get a baseline figure of the stage 1 with the hardware. Of course, we did the stage 1 with the Eventuri earlier on in the video. That made just shy of 470 horsepower. So now we're going to see what it makes with the Eventuri plus the Cobra Sports Cat as well, before we then head on into the tuning. So, run number 1, we'll see what it makes, and then we'll get tuning. Absolutely nuts. Anyway, fans coming off. Jamie's back. Hello, my friend.
Hello.
That run was quite interesting, actually, because, I mean, obviously, it should be mapped for stage 2 with the hardware that's on it, so it's not optimum for what it's running. So we did make about the same as what we did with the Eventuri on it. So a couple more.
Basically, the biggest reason at the moment is the restrictions that we put on the software at stage 1 level are physically holding us back now. So we've picked up a little bit just because it has a Sports Cat, but as you can see from this log here, so yellow is the set point for the boost pressures, and then the other 2 lines are the actual, what the car's making, and you can see that it's still held back because it's tuned for stage 1 level.
Yeah.
What we're going to try and do is obviously now get to the point where we're about, depending on how the car reacts, sometimes 2.4, 2.5, 2.6 bar. So as again, as you can see on the dyno graph, that blue raw line for the wheel horsepower on this dyno is completely flat because that's us holding it back at a stage 1 level because of the heat or the flow issues we have. So now we can start smoothing that up and try and get as much as we can out of it within reason.
So I mean, realistically, the only reason why it hasn't made more is because of
the software. The software is literally told, do not go above this boost pressure.
Yeah, no, exactly that. But obviously with some tweaks, and obviously the stage 2, well, we'll go base map first and then some tweaks after that, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll put a base file in with more boost. We can go a little leaner now. Now we don't have an OPF in place. See what the car's doing, see how it reacts, and then go from there. It's going to be a little bit different from January because we're now, the ambient temperature is somewhat 15 degrees hotter than we were in January. So we will do what it can do today and we'll go from there.
Perfect, on to the tuning. Okay, so Jamie's been working away and he's got the base stage 2 map all done. So now we're obviously going to do another run, see basically what it's running from there, and then we'll have a look at the graphs and basically make any minor tweaks which we need to do to get the optimum power and everything. Of course, Jamie's the expert, he knows his stuff. So yeah, run number 2, this on the stage 2, so we should see some nice gains, of course, with the hardware all installed and everything. So yeah, run 2. I'm going to stay up here actually, because I think this is going to sound pretty mega. Getting there, 470 now. That was just a very base stage 2 really, just basically marking the OPF as out, so any minor gains, but now I think things are going to get a little bit juicy. Plus, my sports cat is turning purple already, which is pretty cool. Couple of runs done. We're getting there, to be honest. Yeah, looking good actually.
2 or 3 versions in. A little bit more power on it. Want to try and get to the 580, 600 newtons and just over the 500 mark. But again, pretty hot day today, so just fighting a few things. Timing pull seems to be our enemy today. I think it's just purely because it's just a hot day with a sports cat. So unfortunately, as you can see on the dyno graph, where we want to try and hold on to the peak power as long as we can, at about 6,200, we have some timing correction, which obviously then with our safety map pulls the load out, which is why the boost then drops off. But no, getting there, I mean, we've gained on the raw power on this dyno nearly 40, maybe 42 at the wheels, looking at the raw blue line. So yeah, getting there, a little bit more to go, but we'll see how we get on.
Perfect. The tuning is now done, meaning this should be the last run. So we should be able to get the final figure very, very soon. It's so cool seeing this car get tuned right in front of my eyes, I've got to be honest. And Jamie is an absolute wizard as well. So final run, let's get the final figure. Coming off for one final time, we have a figure, don't we? A figure which is very, very close to 500, like seriously close.
Yeah. It's always disappointing when you're 0.5 off the figure, but I mean, today, giving it 24, 25 degrees in here, it's 19 degrees outside. It's a relatively new sports cat to us that Cobra Sport have made. So again, it's testing that with a Euro 6 cat.
So I suppose compared to what most may do would be a completely catless downpipe.
Yeah, so most of the ones we do here are completely no cat. We have done a few of the Miltech Sports Cat, have similar results, but again, we're basically managing thermals. And as you can see, we still have, it's the point of here, we would like to go a bit further, but when you have some slight, you start to get into territory of we're having some timing correction and very hot EGTs, it's not worth it. I mean, we tried as much as we could today, but I mean, we've got as smooth as we can. Now we just got to go road test it, log it on the road, make sure the gearbox is happy, because like I said before, we have to descale the engine to then get around the gearbox limiter and the CPC limiter to get the most we can out of it. So we'll go now, make sure the shifts are good, and go from there. But yeah, it's not bad results at all, really, considering.
Yeah. I mean, well, final figures, just shy of 500 brake. In my eyes, that is 500 brake.
Yeah, we'll call that 500.
And 620 Newton meters of torque, which is a huge gain.
Yeah, so I think if we load up, I think we were, so the highest point is about 6,000 RPM we've nearly gained 50 wheel horsepower, so 446 there to 490, and then the most gains on this now you're allowing the down low, you've now 500 to 600 newtons, or 226 wheel to 270 wheel. Like I said, this is purely for a dyno run. Once you put it on the road, you might find you have some clutch slip or some intervention from the gearbox, because obviously we're descaling the ECU to get around it. So we all logged on the road with all these to make sure it's happy. But yeah, considering it has a Euro 6 sports cat in it, which is untested from Cobra Sport, not bad results. I mean,
exactly.
Disappointing
So
we didn't get the 0.5.
But this is the first EST and Cobra Sport.
This is the one that we,
which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'll let you guys road test it, make sure you're happy with it, sign it off, and then there we go.
Try not to break it for you.
That is it then, folks. Stage 2 is all done and completed on the A45S. We are very, very close to 500 horsepower, but I'll be honest, I'm gonna round it up. I mean, 499.5, it's gotta be done really. But yeah, again, a massive thank you to everyone here at EST Performance, also to Cobra Sport and Eventuri for the bits of hardware we needed to go from stage 1 to stage 2. Of course, you can find all the details to all three companies down in the description down below. But it's time for me to now do the first drive, which unfortunately is going to be in a separate video, but keep your eyes peeled for that. This thing, even just seeing it on the dyno, sounds mega, and I cannot wait to experience every bit of that 499.5 brake horsepower. So again, a big thank you to everyone involved in this little mini project to take this car from stage 1 to stage 2. As I mentioned, details down below for everything. But for me today, that is it. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please make sure you leave a like and make sure to subscribe for all the adventures still to come.